Pre-2025, Mike Trout had always been pretty solid with the glove, even if his performance could oscillate a bit year to year, resulting in a career 2.2 D-WAR and a more impressive 14 StatCast fielding runs. But even with these solid results, he still was moved to right field this year in order to limit the amount of stress on his body coming off a stretch of injury-riddled seasons for him for pretty much the last half-decade. But even though right is seen as somewhat less of a responsibility than center, he has had some pretty significant struggles out there. I'll give you some numbers as we go, but let's look at some individual plays first, with this one versus the Rays probably being his worst play so far, with this ball having an expected batting average of just 0.11. Yeah, that drops for a hit about 11 times per every 1,000 plays, and it looked every bit as bad as that. This one versus Houston wasn't a lot better, with Jose Altuve flaring this ball into shallow right, which Trout got a late jump on before seeing it clang off the heel of his mitt as he made an awkward looking dive. Lucky enough for him, Kyron Paris would back up the play, getting the ball into Tim Anderson quickly enough to facilitate a relay to first base to get the tiny Titan going back. But still, that's just not the kind of defense we're used to seeing from Mike. Something that was perhaps a more predictable struggle is the fact that he's not known for having a very strong arm, and this reflected big time in this play versus the Cardinals, where on a ball hit just 285 feet to right field, he didn't even get a throw off to home. Even though the runner coming down the line, Pedro Pajes, had just 11th percentile speed. You need your right fielder to at least be able to make that close, especially in extra innings. Now, I'm going to show 3 separate line drives he came in on but wasn't able to make a play, showing what has been, so far, a fairly poor ability to read the ball off the bat from that angle. While these play in the background, I want to run down his stats so far. If you thought I was cherry picking his worst plays, consider that he is tied for second worst in all of Major League Baseball in fielding run value through roughly the first month of the season, at -3. For a little reference, his worst total in a full season before this was -1. Way back in 2017. And it's not like he's doing any better per Baseball Reference, with -0.3 D-WAR being tallied so far and -2 defensive runs saved as well. Given his athleticism and overall baseball IQ, I think it's highly likely he'll adjust out there given some time, but I don't think anybody expected to see quite this level of struggle from the superstar veteran. Still, the truth is, even if he maintains this pace throughout the course of the year with his glove, it won't end up mattering much if he can manage to post even 120 games played at his 2022 through 2024 levels of production. Now, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, please consider liking and subscribing and checking out any one of these recommended videos. Have a great rest of your day, everybody, and I'll see you in the next one.